Guys, I don't know how many of you remember Dr. Joe from Flat Rate Doctors in Orem. He joined us for a video a while ago where we showed what happens if you take teeth and let them soak in a few different liquids for about a week. We had some pretty fun results with that. Well, he is back to help us again, where we're doing kind of the opposite. We're gonna see what happens to teeth with a few different kinds of teeth whiteners. Now, Grace is running this video and Joe is here as a dental authority on the subject. I'm mostly just here to introduce him, and they're gonna take it from there. Today's video is sponsored by Raycon.
In today's video, we're going to test the effectiveness of tooth bleach. All right, guys, so as Nate said, we have Dr. Joe with us today, and we are going to be talking about teeth and the effectiveness of teeth bleaching, because it's a super hot topic right now. I don't know if you have a lot of it happening in your office at this moment, but I feel like everyone is trying to get that really vivid white smile. So you brought some teeth with us that are no longer vivid and white. In your opinion, which one of these bleaches do you think is gonna do the best?
I'm not 100% sure, but you'd be surprised. The 5-minute gel is usually really strong.
Okay.
But it's tough to say. It really is.
Here's the basic idea. We have teeth, eggs, and several different brands of teeth whitening. We want to see which one's going to be the most effective and give us the most vivid smile. The process that I'm going to do is I'm going to soak the eggs in coffee and tea, and then Dr. Joe actually had the idea to take a brown egg and see if we can get this brown egg to turn white. I think this is gonna be a really cool process.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll turn 100% white, but it will definitely bleach it. That's my theory.
I'm excited about that.
I put some money on that one. Yeah.
That's super cool. So before I kind of like hop into this, I kind of wanted you to talk about the different layers of teeth, because people don't realize how delicate teeth are, but that when we're bleaching our teeth, we're dealing with a very thin layer and surface.
Yeah, so the outer layer is called the enamel. And it's the strongest layer. It has the most amount of minerals in it. And then below that is the dentin, which has a lot less minerals. I think it's about 50%, where it has just the different types of proteins and so forth. And then inside of the dentin will be the nerve, or the pulp. And that is the blood supply, and it's the nerve to help give the tooth, sensation.
All right, so I'm gonna set this up, and we're gonna get some egg coloring, and then we'll touch base with Dr. Joe to see if those eggs turned white and see how his teeth did that he pulled. So Dr. Joe is going to add tape to these teeth, and that is going to act as our control for what the teeth looked like before we added the bleach to them. So I'm excited about this. I think it's gonna be super cool. And we were talking off camera about the different types of bleach that we're using, and Dr. Joe had some really good insight on it. So we were talking about the light and then this active gel and how aggressive it can be.
Yeah, basically, I think this might be a little stronger. Just like in office bleaching, we have really strong bleach. I think this is probably not that strong, but it's definitely, if it's supposed to be 5-minute whitening, it probably is like stronger, and at least initially, where some of them work for longer periods of time, but a slower method. And the stronger and the more you bleach fast, the more sensitive you will have. That's why in office whitening, you get lots of sensitivity for like 2 or 3 days, and then it calms down. Mm-hmm. But, and so I think this definitely would give you a little more sensitivity, as opposed to these that you'd have to do, multiple strips for weeks. So just a thought. That's why I think this one might work the best. We'll see. One other thing, when you dry out the teeth, they do get a little whiter, just because they're dry, as opposed to being wet. And so kind of like hair, when you wet hair, it gets darker. Same thing with teeth. They are darker. They don't get that frosty look. And I'm gonna conform the tape as much as I can to the tooth, and we'll see from there. I'll just do this with all the teeth, I guess.
Okay, so while Dr. Joe puts the tape on his teeth, I'm gonna go ahead and put the white strips on here so we can see if we get any effect with these brown eggs. And then the white eggs we're gonna allow to sit in coffee and tea and see if we can remove the stains after 24 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and use this 5-minute whitening and drop it on top of the egg, and we'll see, I guess we're giving it some hair. I like it. It'll be like, maybe this is a new way we can all dye Easter eggs this year.
Yeah.
With teeth whitening. Yeah. So there's a vivid white, and then here's a crest strip. All right, guys, so Dr. Joe had to go back to the office, so I'm going to set up the rest of our experiment. So I'm going to take the rest of these white eggs that are way over here, and we're going to put them in tea and black coffee. Let them soak for 24 hours, take them out, and then we're going to do the whole thing again with different white strips and see if we can get some different results. Okay guys, in the middle of our teeth experiment, we're going to talk about our ears.
Raycon Earbuds is sponsoring today's video, and we want to show you guys why we use their headphones all the time.
See, Raycon is disrupting the electronics industry by designing premium wireless audio for half the price without compromise to its quality.
Raycon offers their wireless earbuds in a range of awesome colors and patterns with various fit options, and the best part is there aren't any dangling wires.
Interesting fact for you guys, the company was co-founded by Ray J, and big name celebrities like Snoop Dogg and Rich the Kid are using their earbuds all the time.
And Raycon wants to make sure its customers are happy, so they have an extended 45-day free return policy.
We legit use our Raycon earbuds on a daily basis.
They're super comfy, they have noise isolating features, hours of playtime, really quick Bluetooth pairing, and provide solid bass. When I'm working on projects, I'm always listening to audiobooks on my Raycon earbuds. If I want to just chill on the couch and listen to music, same thing. My Raycons are my go-to audio choice.
I do hard workouts daily, and my new Raycon earbuds are my new favorite workout partner, providing me with excellent audio for all of my workout music.
If you're trying to take a break from the screens while still listening to Prime Audio, use the Raycon earbuds.
Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/TKOR to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. All right, guys, we are back with Dr. Joe. It has been a couple days and we had some really cool results with these Crest Whitening strips and the other whitening products that we were trying out. I'm thoroughly impressed with these Crest Whitening strips. How are you feeling about what we got going on?
Oh, I'm stoked. The Crest Whitestrips definitely did the best, it looks like.
Yeah, we were talking about these brown eggs and potentially being able to turn them to that eggshell white. I'm shocked. Like when you brought up this idea of trying to turn an egg that's naturally brown white, I was like, no way. And it happened. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then looking at the tea and the coffee, really cool too. We were able to strip those stains off. And so each one that we're looking at, so we have the layout of tooth, brown egg, tea, and then coffee. So each one is laid out in this exact same order. All right, so let's look at that tooth. Something that Dr. Joe and I were talking about is that there's a radiation effect with the gel. So when you use whitening, it actually, if you put a little drop on your tooth, it'll spread throughout the whole tooth. So did that happen here?
Yeah, I mean, from what we can tell, it looks like the whole tooth got bleached evenly, even though it was only this side that was bleached. The only other little thing we have to think about is the tooth dried out a little bit because it's out of water, but I think it sure bleached a lot. I mean, look at the color of that.
I know, it's like super white.
Crazy white.
So far Crest Whitestrips, they did great, they killed it. I think the Crest Whitening 3D strips did better than the 3D whitening strips.
Same thing with this tooth. It definitely looks wider, and we only covered one side. It looks like maybe that side got a little more bright than the other, but it's hard to tell because of, you know, the excess tissue and so forth and staining there, but it looks like it definitely had that radiant effect. So when you're bleaching, and even if you're just wearing strips versus trays, it doesn't really matter if it gets into every little spot because it will radiate, and we have that as an example of that. So
now looking at the Gleam, which was our next one that we were testing out, tell us a little bit about this light.
Yeah, this light was supposed to help make it bleach better or activate it, but as we can see from these versus those, it didn't really do a whole lot.
No, it definitely didn't remove the stains better than the 3D Crest strips or even, I think, the 3D Vivid White. Also, it was incredibly hard to get off this eggshell. That was the one thing I noticed, that the texture between the 3D Classic Crest strips and the Vivid White, the Classic strips had almost like a gel on them, where the Vivid White was more of like this rougher texture, which we can like look at it.
One thing we do have to understand is that in the mouth, obviously we're rinsing off these gels and so forth, where on the egg, when we peel off the strips, sometimes things stay. Maybe for a better example, we could have washed them off, you know, to get more of an accurate representation, but at the same time, it's just good to see, you know, the differences, and Crest Whitestrips really big kick.
You can see that this one is like a very rigid texture, and if you feel the crest,
we'll peel it off, and it's almost like a glue, it feels like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that feels like a glue, or a tape, where this one is like jelly.
Yep, this one is a gel. Like, I can wipe this one on the back of my glove.
Yeah. The gel might be better because it will spread more and get into those crevices, where this will just stay a little more firm. I'm sure with moisture in your mouth, obviously it could, you know, spread more, but maybe that's why it worked better on this versus that also. So it's
for sure.
tough to
There's
know.
definitely a lot of variables. And then we were talking about this 5-minute whitening. I think that's something really interesting about this 5-minute whitening is that one of the ingredients in here is phosphoric acid.
Yeah, acid isn't great on our teeth. That's what causes cavities, but at the same time, in such a small amount for 5 minutes probably isn't the end of the world. But yeah, you kind of wonder like, maybe this isn't the best thing to keep putting on your teeth.
It did a decent job for like a 5-minute whitening, you know. Even this is the brown egg. It still was able to leave a couple lines.
For the tooth itself, maybe not as bright, but pretty close. It probably goes the same as the 3D white strips. Not as good as the Crest Whitestrips, but still not bad.
And then finally we have the Equate strips. This is the like just general Walmart brand. Yeah. As you can see, the egg really didn't do anything. This is the brown egg. It didn't really do anything. It did a decent job, I'd say, with the coffee. Compared to how the other ones dealt with coffee, it did a decent job. Tea, it didn't do that great, but what about the tooth?
The tooth, I don't think it did as well. It still did an okay job.
It's definitely not as white as the other ones.
Yeah, that's what you get with generic sometimes. Sometimes generic is just as good, if not better, but then sometimes you get that, so.
I am super glad we tested it, number one, on the teeth, on the eggs, on the brown eggs, and on the stained eggs as well. In your professional recommendation, which way would you go with these in order of like best to probably worst?
Obviously Crest Whitestrips, but if you can do it with, you know, trays that you get from your dentist or in-office whitening, that might be the best. In-office whitening, I will say, is the best if you need it fast for like a wedding or something of that nature. But if you do it over time, I think the trays are probably the best. I've seen great results from that from my patients. And yeah, you can kind of control how much you bleach and how much you don't.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. The Crest Whitestrips do the best on your teeth and on eggs if you're trying to put stripes on eggs and do some fancy Easter decorating. But yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio, Dr. Joe. Stay safe, and as always, we appreciate your time that you come and spend with us.
Thanks, Grace.
Thanks again to the sponsor of today's video, Raycon Earbuds. Click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/TKOR to get 15% off your Raycon order today.
Hey guys, if you like this kind of content, make sure you check out that video right there, and that way you'll never miss out on another one of our exciting adventures. We'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.